Right, so welcome to a new Making Sounds episode, and on this one is the POLY D. So this is how it works. First I show you the final result, then we just go and break it down and finish the patch with some effects. You can go to the links in the description and download the patch sheet if you want. Now, if you like all of this, please let me know down in the comments and make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can go to the links in the description. Right, so let's start with the oscillators. The two are going to be on. We're going to use both, and we are going to be using the third one, and the volume is going to be all the way up on the three oscillators. Now, on the first one, we're going to do a saw, then square on the second one, and the next one is going to be the next after the square, which is going to be the narrow, the middle pulse. And in terms of range, I'm going to go to the fourth. Then I'm going to go to the 8 on the second oscillator, and I'm going to stick on the 16 on the oscillator number 3. And if we play it, it sounds like that. Still, we need to do a lot of work. This is a sequence, it sounds like that, classic sequence. So we need to handle the envelopes in a second. But first, we need to do a couple more things. Also, make sure that the oscillator modulation is off, going back to off. And on this one, we are not going to use modulations. We are not going to use the mod wheel. So I'm going to be using the external single in overload. Now, you don't need to do it if you don't want to. I like how it sounds. So I'm going to be connecting a cable from the phones out. It's going to be like 50%, the amount. If you go really loud, this one is going to be very reactive to it. I'm going to stay right there, 50%. So then this goes out and goes into the back of the POLY D, which is going to be the external single in. You need to connect the cable right there, and then you just turn it on right here, and then you just need to find the sweet spot. It depends on your synthesizer. Now, remember that when you do this, if you are doing chorus or distortion, whatever you do on this section is going to go out right here and then go in right here. So it's going to overload it and crash it really hard. Now, in this case, I'm not going to be using the effects. I'm going to be using external effects so we can have a clean path going to the external volume in. Now, if I play something, it's going to be really loud, and notice it's overloading now. If I go all the way down, it's a little bit less. So I'm going to stay around 4, and then we're going to, check how it sounds. That's maybe a little bit too much, maybe around 3. It gives us a little bit more meat. That is a little bit different. There's more body. Then we're gonna, check it with the sequence if it sounds cool. If, it sounds cool, we're gonna leave it. If not, we're gonna remove it. Right, so let's take care of the envelopes. It's really important for us right now. I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna turn the decay off of this one. Just leave it off. And gonna go to the attack all the way down. The decay is gonna be around the 400, which is between 200 and 600 on the decay. Right there. And the sustain, I'm going to put it at the middle, like 5. Now, we need to do some cutting because it's going to be really loud. I'm going to go all the way down on the cutoff. If I play a key right now, nothing is going to happen. We need to open it with this one. So I'm going to go to the emphasis. I'm going to do 1. And then the amount of contour, I'm going to do around 6. Now, still, everything is closed right here. So if we play a key, nothing is going to happen. It's going to be really short. So we need to do some decay just to open it and some sustain if we wanted to. So if I do kind of a short decay, as soon as I play it, we get it, right? On decay, I'm going to stay around the 200s, right there. That's going to sound. Now, if you want to do a little bit of sustain, in this case, I want a little bit of sustain. I'm going to be playing a key and holding a key, and it's going to sustain for a little bit more. If I go all the way up, it's going to sustain much longer. And all of this depends on what you want to do. That's how it sounds. Now, in this case, I want it on the 4, right there. Now then, we need to decide how much we're going to open this. If I use the keyboard control, the 2, it's going to be like that. And the 1, a little bit less aggressive. So in this case, I want this one, the one that it's less aggressive, and I'm going to leave this one off. The filter modulation, I'm not going to use it, so it's going to be off. Okay, so that's it. That's the patch. Now, of course, it's going to sound pretty raw. If you think about this, without the effects. Now, I have the MIDI right here. Let me just play it back. So this is going to sound, it's that classic, riff. This is like, how it's going to sound with the patch and the MIDI information, MIDI clip that I have. So right here, we have a lot of choices. We can just turn this one off, and it takes away the lows. In this case, I like the lows. If you want a little bit less, maybe you can do a little bit less, but in this case, I'm just going to stay at 4. I like it. Another thing that you can do with the emotive contour, you can make it darker. It's just going to make it darker. Still going to stay around 5 or 6, something around there. And the decay, in this case, is going to make it shorter. The decay and the sustain. So if I go down on the decay, it's going to be a lot pluckier. That's what I want. Now, if I open it more, it's going to be longer. It's going to be more open. I'm going to leave it at 200 for now. Alright, so it sounds cool. Now the thing is that it sounds a little bit less bright than the other one. The MIDI clip is just playing more in the low key side of things. Now you can, of course, play it higher. It's just going to be a little bit higher, but it's just pretty much the same thing. Alright, so now it sounds super dry. Sounds cool, but we need to add some effects. And I will try an overdrive, a chorus. I'm going to be doing some delay, and I'm going to be using, some reverb. Now, the overdrive is an emulation. I won't say emulation. It's the type of clone is a very pristine, kind of a clean, almost like a boost type of overdrive. And you have a million choices. Almost any pedal manufacturer makes a clone, so you can get it anywhere. Alright, so if I play the clip right now, I'm going to be using the overdrive. Now, everything is at noon. So it's going to be a little bit too loud. Right, it's just going to be a little bit too loud. Now I'm going to go down in the output and down in gain. And for now, I'm just going to leave it just like that, all the way down. And I'm going to just turn it on. Now I'm going to go out in the output a little bit more. And I'm going to go up in gain. And if I go up in gain, this is just going to crush it. I don't want too much on this one. I just want a little bit of output and a little bit of gain. Now on this one, of course, it has a high pass. It's just rolling off the high frequencies. If I go up, it's going to give me the high frequencies back. And actually, we get a little bit more. If I turn it off, it does a lot darker. So this is chopping. You're getting rid a little bit of the lower frequencies and getting more clear high frequencies. So this is what I want from this one. Every sound reacts different. The pedal actually reacts very differently to every different sound, different sounds. Alright, so this is what I want from this one. Now the next thing is that I want a chorus ensemble. I want just to make it bigger. And if I turn this one on, it's gonna sound like that. Now this one is a stereo reverb. How some pedals work in the pedal domain. Let me just stop the sequence right now. How this works is that this was the mono out, is going to go out clean, and the B side, which is going to be the right side, is going to be the wet, and the level on this one is going to be the level of the dry signal. This is how this pedal works. Other pedals may be more like, the Strymon type of, pedal. They have a different way of blending the dry and the wet signal. But this is how it works right here, and it gives me what I want, which is making the sound a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. So if I play it again, this is just making everything super wide. Now the rate, if I go all the way up, it's going to be a little bit too much. It's still, again, the depth. If I go up, it's way too much. So I'm going to leave it around 50% is like the sweet spot for this pedal. It's a classic pedal. You can get whatever you want. And the filter is just going to chop the highs and it's going to chop the lows. Now I don't want this. It just makes it sound super small. So I'm going to leave it open pretty much. If you want to roll off the lows of this, you can. In this case, again, I'm going to go all the way up. Now, of course, this one is reacting on the wet signal. So if you start filtering, it's going to affect the wet signal maybe too much. And, without effects. With effects, a little bit brighter and just, a little bit more aggressive. And this one's just make it really big. All right. So let's just bring the rest, which is going to be the delay and the reverb. I'm going to be going, this is a multi-effects. So you can go to different types of effects. So I'm going to stand on the analog. And again, if you have just a normal, good old common, delay, it's going to work. It's going to work fine. Now this one I can choose. So I'm going to be choosing the analog type of delay, and I'm going to be using the blue one. Notice that we have different colors. So the blue is a BBD type of delay, is a darker repetitions type of delay. It's just a little bit more, darker. Is a bucket brigade. All right. Now on this, you can set the tempo. Now the sequence, the arpeggio is 100 BPM per second. So I'm going to be playing the click track, and then I'm going to sync into, tempo. All right. All right, so if I turn it on and I go to maybe right here, it's going to be a quarter notes. I play a key. It's going to be like that. Now this is just darker notes. All right, so in this case, what I want for this is going to be 8 notes. So I'm going to be going there. This is 8 notes. Now the feedback's maybe a little bit too much. You're going to go down to the feedback. Then we have the tone. This is going to make it brighter. Or it's just going to roll the high frequencies. I'm going to leave it at 50%, which is pretty much we are not doing anything. And then you have the Think 1 and the Think 2, and this is the type of modulation or saturation. And each of the different styles, they can do different things. This could be, anything. In this case, it's just going to be saturation. So I'm going to maybe leave it around there. And the mix, I guess, is fine right there. So we have this saturation on the chorus, and then it's going through the delay now. Let's see how it sounds with the sequence. Right. So maybe it's a little bit too much. So I'm going to be going down in the mix and a little bit down in the feedback. Now if I turn it off, it's just going to be like that. Now let me go a little bit down in volume of the synthesizer because I think it's just clipping just a little bit. There you go, a little bit better. All right, so the reverb, we're going to turn it on. Right now it's off, and I'm going to stay on the room. I don't want a super big type of sound because we already have the delay in the chorus that it's just making it, super wide and super big. So we don't need a lot of reverb. So still, if I play it, it's going to sound like that, which already sounds cool alone without the sequence. Now I'm going to keep the tone, which is, let me just go all the way wet. This is how the reverb sounds. If I go up, this is not going to chop the high frequencies. This is going to be rolling off a little bit of the higher frequencies. And the modulation is the modulation that we do to the reverb. I don't want it. I'm going to stay almost there. Not a lot of modulation. Now, decay, if we make it super large, it's going to be too much, right? This is just way too much. So I'm going to stand around the short, the short side of things, which is going to be maybe around 1 second. The pre-delay, I'm going to make it all the way to, down. And the blend, maybe I'm going to stay, if I go all the way down, no reverb. And this is just like gluing everything. Right? Now, let me play the sequence. Some things that you need to take into account that, remember that you have your decay. If it's too large, you just can make it super shorter. If we want more aggression, you just can go up on the decay and just get more. Right? It's just going to be large. More decay, it's just going to be more, longer. Remember the amount of contour is controlling how much you're opening the filter. So by going up on the amount of contour, you're going to get more higher frequencies. And going down, it's just going to make it darker. So in my case, 6 is fine. Now maybe when we start the sequence, we can start all the way down. Still, maybe with the decay, not just both at the same time as the sound evolves. Now in this case again, 206. You can play with the emphasis. It's going to remove a little bit of low end, but it's going to give you that wow. And again, all of this is just completely up to you. The main point of this videos is that, I create a patch, I give you a sound, like a demonstration, and then you just take it and, make it your own. Do different effects, try different things. That's the plan. Right. Okay, so let's just, break it down. We always start with kind of a default patch. Only the oscillator number 1 is on. All right, so this is going to be the sequence like the other one. So I'm going to be turning the 1 on, all the volume up. The 2 is going to be on, all the way up on the volume. And this one, again, is going to be 3 on, and I'm going to go all the way up in volume. So, but again, I want to sequence. So I'm going to stand on the tri-saw, which is we are going to be getting a little bit more harmonics. This one is going to stay a square, and this one is going to go all the way to a triangle. Now this one is going to give us high pitch, high frequency. So I'm going to go to the range all the way up. This one is going to stay at 4, 2, then 4, and this one is going to be at 8. It makes sense. So if I play it, we get something like that. Now later we're going to be using the oscillator number 4 to create that, harsh type of sound by modulating this with the filter modulation. But before we can do that, I need to stand right here on the, in the envelope section and just kind of finish the sound. Right, so the filter mode is going to be on low, so we're going to be chopping low frequencies. And for now, I'm going to stand right between, -1, which is, between 0 and -2. It's going to sound a little bit too dark. Now, first I'm going to go maybe to the decay and make it around 200-ish. And then the sustain, I'm going to be going to almost 50%. Now, right now, the decay is all the way on. So if I play a key, we get a tail. We get a, get a release. I'm going to turn it off. We don't need it because this is going to be a sequence. Now, if you're playing this, with your hands, maybe you want that tail. In this case, again, I don't want it. Now we need to move this when we play the keys. So we need to do something right here. Attack is going to be all the way to 0. And the decay, I'm going to make it really short. So I'm going to stand around 10, something around there. And the sustain is going to be around 2. So now if I play it, we need to do some amount of contour. If not, it's not, we are not going to use the envelope for anything. So as I go up, it's going to be, more aggressive. I'm going to stay around 2. And we need to do the keyboard control. Now, I can leave it right here at 0, but maybe I can, switch it this one and let's see how it sounds. A lot brighter, right? And the other one, a little bit less. So in this case, for this one, I'm going to leave it the 2 on 1. And that's going to be like the default sound. Now, that's pretty much the patch. Now, we still need to do a lot of, a little bit more. We need to do just a little bit more. So I have a sequence right here. Let's see how it sounds with this. So it sounds like that. That's fine. That's fine for now. Now, what I want to do, I want to use the oscillator number 4 to do some, a little bit, to go a little bit more aggressive. And I'm going to do the filter modulation, right? But this is what I want to do now. Let me stop the arpeggio. This one needs to be on. I'm going to need to turn that one on. So now we need to link this to the filter modulation that we are doing right here. So we can just modulate the filter like that with the oscillator number 4. Now in this case, the oscillator number 4, if we go down, we are kind of unsyncing the keyboard from the oscillator. So it's going to go on a fixed ratio, on a fixed, frequency. Now if I go up right here, this is going to follow whatever, we play on the keyboard, and it's just going to modulate it with whatever frequency we get right here. Now, the thing is that to do this first, we need to take care of this part. All right, so make sure your mono, of course, it is a mono type of sound. Now, this one, if we go all the way to the LFO, we're going to be modulating with the LFO, but we don't want that. We want to modulate it with the oscillator number 4. So right here at the bottom, we need to say, dude, we want to use the oscillator number 4 as a modulation source. So now the main point is that when we go up on the mod wheel, we are going to be doing the filter modulation with it right there at the top, but we are doing it with the oscillator number 4. If I play it, nothing is going to happen. But if I go up, it's using this to modulate the filter. And it's really aggressive, that's the whole point. Now, the frequency, the waveform, and the range really matters right here. If I play something and change it, notice it's just affecting it on different ways. So all of this is just completely up to you. Depends on what you want to do. If you go too low, we're going to be using this waveform as an LFO. In this case, I want to leave it at 16. Now right here, this is how fast it's doing it, is the frequency. So if we change the frequency, we get more atonal type of sounds. Now in this case, I like it around 4. Right there. Kind of like it right there. Right, there we go. So it's gonna be 4. And if we go down, Really different. Now the waveform also will change it. Notice that since we have more harmonics, it's just gonna be a little bit different because it's just a different waveform. Now in this case, I could stay maybe right here, but I'm gonna go all the way to a triangle. That's gonna give me, what I want. And right here, again, it's completely up to you. Make sure that this one is all the way off. If not, it's just gonna go out and, with volume. It's completely up to you. You can choose a different frequency, maybe a different range, or a different waveform. If I play the arpeggio, the MIDI, it's gonna sound like that. If we go up on the mod wheel, it's gonna give us, a lot more aggression. It's just a completely different sound. Remember, we are using 3 oscillators in different ranges, so maybe adjusting the volume just to get, what you want. You want maybe less of the lows. You can just turn that off. The first oscillator is just gonna get a little bit less lows. All right, now there's one more thing I need to tell you. So if you connect this through USB and you open the software that you get for, for this, synth, the synth drive, right now it's on version 2.6. What you can do, you can decide if the multi-trigger is going to be on. Now, by essence, this is a mono type of synthesizer, but it has a multi-trigger, so you can use it as a poly, this is what we get right here. Now, in this case, on this sequence, if you want to create something that is really mono, it's, it's a sequence, maybe you want to keep the multi-trigger to off. And this is what, how I like to use this device if I'm not, doing keys. And if I go up, it's going to sound like that. So it's just a little bit more, in the pocket. If I go to multi-trigger on, it's just a little bit more floppy. Right? And it's because, the sequence is pretty fast. And, that's how it works. So again, I'm gonna go to the multi-trigger and leave it off. This is again completely up to you. I like it when it's off. Okay, so let's go through the effects section. I'm gonna be using a booster. I'm gonna use the same chorus just to make it wide, a delay, and then the reverb. Right. So I'm gonna be going right here, and first I'm gonna go volume down. As soon as I turn this on, you're gonna notice that it goes down. Now the volume is down, and 50% is like unity gain. Now on this one, what we can do is really special, and it's RC because it's real clean. We can add a little bit of gain, and notice that we get it. It will also go up in volume, so maybe go down in volume. And we are just adding a little bit more meat to the sound, that's all. Not too much, but still, this one, what gives you is a treble control and a bass control. So I'm gonna leave the bass, less bass, and a little bit more treble. Now all of this is just like, completely up to you. It's like using an EQ before we do the rest. If I turn it off, it sounds a little bit more darker. Alright, that's it. Alright, so let's do the chorus. Now the chorus ensemble is going to be a stereo. I'm making a stereo, just like the previous patch. The A is going to be the mono, the dry signal, and the B is going to be the wet. This is how this pedal works. Maybe you're going to be getting a different chorus because this is fine, but it's, works really good on mono. Stereo is just not its thing. It can do it. It's not the best. I'm going to be getting a different, chorus maybe to do all of this. But for now, this is just going to work. So as soon as I turn it on, so it's going to be wider. Now remember that this is going to be wider. Now remember this one controls the control. That's why it goes to the left. And it's because it's just, that's how stereo works on this pedal. Now rate, going to keep it around there. Maybe you can do a little bit more. And I'm going to do no cutting. This is going to cut the lows and the highs. But again, the main point of this one is that it's going to make it wide. And we get it. That's it. It's completely up to you. You want to keep it mono? You can. Alright, so now it's time to play the delay. It's 100 BPM per second, the sequence. So I'm gonna sync it. There we go. Now we are synced. It's 100 BPM. If I go right there, it's quarter notes. So it's gonna be pretty much in sync. Now, for this one, what I don't want a quarter. I want to do 8 notes. And let me just stop the metronome. The style of delay, I'm going to go to digital. This is how it works on this pedal. And I'm going to stand on the red one. Now, the red one is going to be, that's not red, this is red. It's going to be a ping pong delay. This is what I'm going to use for this one. And if I play it, It's not gonna do anything. We need to turn it on. And then, we get the delay. And this already sounds, it sounds cool just to use playing keys, right? So that could be a whole different patch. Now still, let me just adjust the controls right here. Now, this is a ping pong. What it does on the thing 1 and the thing 2 is going to be modulation depth and then the modulation rate. I'm going to keep it low on this one. Maybe I'm going to go to feedback and just make it a little bit more intrusive, let's say. Just longer. If I go less, stays a little bit more in the back. So I'm going to leave it around 40%, a little bit more aggressive. Now again, make sure that you're staying at 8 and the mix is completely up to you. Maybe you want more or you want less. I'm gonna leave it with maybe around 40, which is, maybe a little bit too aggressive. But let's see how it sounds with the sequence. I don't know. Let me just play it back. Alright, so that's with the delay. That's fine. Now, if it's too aggressive, maybe, yeah, it is too aggressive, so I'm going to go a little bit less. And this is why I want something in the back. I'm going to tap it again just to adjust it. And now it's just synced a little bit better. If I go up on the mix, I want that layer in the back. Something that's happening in the back. At the back. So I'm going to maybe do a little bit less. So I think for me, that is fine. Now this delay, let me just turn it off. We notice that there's something missing in the back. Alright, a lot better if you ask me. Now on the reverb side of things, I'm gonna go to a plate, because I love plates. Now right now it's off, and the delay is off, so you're gonna hear the reverb. Now if I go all the way up, we just can hear what the plate sounds. On this one, you can choose different sizes, or maybe different types of reverb. It has a large. I like the small. This one has a larger tail. This one is a little bit more, brighter, let's say. So it's gonna give me that snap, that presence I want for this. Now, maybe the mix, of course, is just way too much. I'm gonna leave it around, maybe right there. If I turn it off, maybe it's too much, 50%. There you go. I like it. Now, the decay is really important. Now, right now is 2 seconds, which is maybe too much. I'm going to leave it around 1 and 1.5. Just a little bit less. Now, the params in the case of the pedal is going to be the filter for low end and high end. Since you might not have this, I'm going to leave it alone. And then you have right here the tone. This is a filter. If I go all the way up, it's going to be filtering the high frequencies, just making it darker. And I want a little bit of this. I'm gonna leave it around there just to make it darker. So then with everything on, right, so the delay is doing a lot for us. If I go up on the mod wheel, just like we did before, right, so sounds really, really cool. Now, again, the delay is completely up to you. Maybe it's just doing too much on a sequence. Now, let me just play the sequence back and see how it sounds. Alright, so that's it. That's going to be the final patch. Now, remember, you can get a lot more aggression from this. And remember always that you can go in between. You don't have to go all the way up. Maybe just a 50%. It's going to sound cool. And, again, you can make it darker and make it shorter with the decay. It's completely, again, up to you. I'm going to leave it around there, the way we had it before. Alright, so all of this is just going to go to you. Remember, you can go to the links in the description and download the patch sheet. Now, if I play it back without the effects, you're going to notice the difference right away. I'm going to turn it off, I'm going to go chorus off, delay off, and, the reverb off. So it's fine, it's the fundamental. It needs to sound good. But the effects just take this to a new level. All of, dynamics, the chorus, the delay, All right, so that's it. So remember, you can download the patch sheets from the links at the description. And if you like all of this, please let me know down in the comments. This is the first video of the series. I'm going to be doing like 4 or 5, something like that. And if you like this and you want more, just let me know. Because if you, no one cares about this, why just keep on doing it, right? Okay, so if you liked all of this, remember to like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you just maybe want to buy me a coffee, you can go to the links at the description, and you have links for PayPal, you have YouTube thanks, and you have Patreon. Maybe you can be a 1-month patron and, buy me a coffee that way. All right, so see you on the next one.